Have you ever wondered how to have a heart attack? Well, if you're a little bit off the rails, or maybe you're just curious, let me tell you this. It's not very hard, because right now in the UK, someone is dying of heart disease every 3 minutes. And there's a 1 in 4 chance it's going to be what kills you and me. But here's the flip side. Knowing how to have a heart attack is also knowing how not to have a heart attack. So today, let's go into a few different things. Let's talk about who's at a higher risk, no matter what they do. Let's talk about the risk factors that are completely within your control that you could change overnight. And finally, let's talk about the invisible risk factors that you don't feel that could be increasing your risk right now as we speak. So what we're talking about here are heart attacks and strokes. Very quickly, what this is where the blood vessels that supply either the heart or the brain get blocked, meaning blood and oxygen can't get to that part of the organ. And what happens is that part of the heart or the brain literally die. It's like having your hose on to water your garden. If that hose gets blocked, well, the plants start to die. And for some people, they're just at a higher risk of this happening no matter what they do. And we call these non-modifiable risk factors. Heart attacks just get more common as you get older, particularly if you're a man over 45 or a woman over 55. Men are at a higher risk of getting heart attacks and strokes, but women do catch up after the menopause. So if your parents or close relatives have had heart attacks and strokes, then you're more likely to get it too. But remember, genes load the gun, lifestyle pulls the trigger. More on this in a minute. And finally, people of South Asian and African Caribbean descent who live in the UK also have a higher risk than average. Now, the thing about the above is they're the cards you've been dealt. There's nothing you can do about them. So there's no point really lingering on them for too long. But here's the good news. There are a lot of factors that are within your control and you could change overnight. So smoking makes your artery walls sort of sticky and can double or even triple the chances of you having a heart attack or stroke. But here's the good bit. Stopping smoking, from the minute you stop, your risk starts to drop. And a year later, your risk is halved. So it probably comes as no surprise that eating too much processed food, saturated fat, salt, and drinking heavily all can damage your heart too. So carrying extra weight puts strain on your heart. It's like having the engine of a Nissan Micra in a big Range Rover. And that's the case for 2/3 of the UK who are either overweight or obese. Now, unlike the other ones, I know this isn't the sort of thing that just changes overnight because it's not as simple as exercise more and eat less and the weight will drop off. We know that losing weight is super difficult and multifactorial. Things like your genetics, medications, stress, lack of sleep, these all play an important part. But any bit you can lose takes stress off your heart. Now here's the silent but deadly risk factors, ones that a lot of us are probably walking around with and don't even know it. And that's because these conditions don't cause symptoms, and they are hypertension or high blood pressure. Our arteries are usually quite elasticy and stretchy, coping with the changes of pressure. But things like obesity, smoking, alcohol, stress, salt, or even genetics and our family history can cause those artery walls to become stiff and the pressure to go up and up and up, doubling or sometimes even tripling our risk of heart disease and strokes. And this is the case for 15 million of us in the UK, a lot of us who don't have a diagnosis and are walking around with high blood pressure. But the good thing is this, treatment works. So reducing that top number by 5, just 5, reduces your risk of heart attacks and strokes by 10%. So diabetes is where your sugar levels are too high. And the problem with that is sugar is irritating to the blood vessels to the point where it can double or even as high as quadruple your chances of having a heart attacks and strokes. But it is something that's very easily checked with a blood test. And that brings me on to cholesterol, where we know too much of this stuff can clog up your arteries. And this seems to be the case for 60% of people in the UK who have cholesterol that's a little bit too high. Now, there's loads of different types of cholesterol, and it's really confusing, which is why I've made this video to help with that. But if you decide to go ahead and have your cholesterol checked, which is just with a simple blood test, this video will help you interpret the results. Thanks for watching.